Got to switch over to John because I just looked at the time and I went, shit. I'm sorry, John.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah.
I appreciate James's what I'll call integrity.
Good, isn't it? That was honest.
Yeah,
it was honest.
I appreciate
really honest. Yeah, I appreciate it too.
There's so many people that have these discussions that want to say the right thing. As opposed to
Yeah, that's useless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because your little description of your experience of what kind of the I think what you referred to as the last straw on the camel's back, that was my question was something around that. So it was interesting that you went ahead and described that. But just for me, recently, I've been on a quote unquote spiritual path for eons, but recently I've experienced, this has experienced the dissolution of self. I guess it's been going on for some while. It's been a fairly gradual thing. Interests fell away, relationships changed, all the things you typically hear. But the thing that happened recently was kind of just a more direct recognition that if I'm not here, if John is not here, it doesn't exist, then nothing exists. And that snowball rolling down a hill got to a point, like, for example, I reflected on all of the relationships, particularly close relationships with family. And they don't exist.
You've never been in a relationship?
Yeah. It's just, if I'm not here, that can't exist.
That's right.
And then from there to things like, and I mean, it wasn't just this, but it included this, all the trauma and both the good and the bad in the world doesn't exist.
That's right.
And, the recent, as an example, the recent events in Israel, as horrible as they are, they don't really exist.
It's just an agreed upon reality, that's all.
It's a story.
It is. It's all a story. See, we'd have two different people sitting here at the moment, and if you really looked or asked, you'd have a different story about me to the story that James would have about me.
So that kind of gets to my question, though.
Good.
There is no me or you.
Correct.
So there's no two stories.
Correct. But there's a story, but the story is only that. We can't say there's no thinking, because there is thinking.
There's something. There's something.
There's thinking that happens. Well, okay, if you want to get really pedantic, yes. If we want to get really pedantic, nothing is happening.
Yes. So that's where the snowball rolling down the hill got to.
Yeah. And yet, hi, John.
Yeah. And so the story continues.
Yes.
It is, it's just there.
I still respond to Terence,
right.
Whatever. I still respond to that. Someone calls my name. Yep.
But here's, I guess, if there's a holding on, the John character holding on to something, it is about people existing.
Yeah.
And,
that's relationship. That's duality.
Yeah.
It's just all mind.
It's all mind.
Simply put.
And there's a knowing of that.
Yeah.
But then the John character wants to bring it back in some way. You know what I mean?
And of course, that keeps it at bay.
Exactly. Which is why I said I enjoyed how you described the straw on the camel's back, because that's where I feel like I am.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, in some ways that I've seen it's certainly intellectually, but I think it's gone beyond that.
Good.
I really do. I believe that there's no, quote unquote, rational human being that can believe what I believe. Or, you know what I mean? And I'm using,
Hey, I get it.
yeah, like
I get
nothing
it.
exists. There's just void.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Like if I told that to people, they would say, lock them up.
Yeah. Here's perhaps where I differ from some. Yeah. I could say that this, whatever this is nothing. Is no thing. Yeah, I could say that. But I have a lot of difficulty calling it nothing.
Yeah.
What it is, I'm not prepared to verbalize. But to call it nothing is, to me, it's almost like a form of denial, because now we get trapped in dualistic language. Yeah,
right.
But there is something.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that something is a thing.
Right.
I'm not even calling that something a one.
Yeah.
But we do non-dual one. Yeah, not even calling it that. Yeah, but to say it's nothing.
Right.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. And
it's something outside of duality. It's something outside of description.
Yeah.
It's something outside of mind. It's something outside of thoughts, because all of that is dualistic.
Yeah.
Is it outside of that? Yes.
You know, what I'm beginning to, and again, dualistic language is always dualistic, but
that's okay. I get it. Yeah.
That's
okay.
What I'm beginning to accept is that's unanswerable.
It is.
Like what it is completely unanswerable. So stop trying to fucking figure it out.
Correct. You can't. We're using a dualistic instrument to try and figure it out. It's not possible. Straight up, it's just not possible. However, there's a knowing.
Yeah.
Just like if I say to you, John, are you conscious? Straight away, your head just went. Yeah. There's enough. You didn't even have to think about that. Yeah. It's just, you know. That's what I was referring to. That's what I was referring to earlier when I was talking about the I am.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. When I first read I Am That, which was, extraordinarily powerful. It took me almost a year and a half to make it through that book.
Yeah.
Because I read a little bit and put it down, and I was like, whoa. Yeah. But when
I got halfway through it and wanted to burn it. My Sailor Bob Adamson gave that to me. He gave me right, and he said, "Read it." Yeah. Yeah. And I heard him speak. Like I'd been on. Sorry, I digressed you a little bit, but I'd been on this spiritual seeking path, and I looked at different things. Nothing made sense to me. Christianity, even Buddhism, all of it. It didn't resonate. It just sounded like, I don't know. It didn't resonate. Let's just put it that way. And one day I heard him speak just out of the blue. I wasn't expecting it. And I was flabbergasted at what was coming out of his mouth. And something inside me was just saying, yes. But if I was to try and attempt to repeat to somebody what I'd just heard, impossible. I wouldn't have been able to do it. Like I didn't really know. Like when I said to myself, this is it, I didn't know what the it was. Right. But something inside me just got a bang and resonated,
Yeah. And it's when I read I Am That, I mean, there was that resonance was clearly there, but I could tell you that I didn't understand that simple direction of just stay with I am.
Yeah, I know.
Like I didn't grasp that.
Yeah.
And as I reflect back now, some of that, a big part of that was because the word I, to me, was automatically connecting to John.
Got it. Which would be normal. Yeah.
Right. Which seemed contradictory to what he was trying to convey.
Yeah.
But in any case, here's I don't know where I was going to go, but here's when I reflect on that book, one of the things that I recall, or maybe not out of that book, but it feels to me, and I'm interested in your perspective on this, that I have to, again, forget the language, but I have to get to knowing of this void in a very comprehensive, I hate these words, but very comprehensive way. And then I can circle back and be in life with this.
And understand that the void is full.
Yes. And live
in
a way that's whatever, so life is living itself, but it feels like I have to go fully into that void before I even attempt to kind of figure out like how this comes into life.
It's even the idea of void is conceptual, but
yes,
the void, if I was to try and describe what the void is, I would simply say, and this is all I could say, it is an absolute absence of all thought and mind. An absolute absence of thought. See, the duality is only mind. There's not duality outside of thought. It's the thoughts or the mind that creates the seeming duality. So in the complete absence of all of that, which is what I experienced after that camel broke the straw's back thing, I was just like, I was absent for just shy of 3 months. I mean, absent. I got 4 memories, John, 4 1-second memories over that nearly 3-month period. One was me pulling the cover down on the bed, the doona back on the bed. One was standing in the shower and there's water running on my face. Another was I sat on the front veranda of my house every day, from 7 in the morning. Apparently, I was told by neighbours. And then I would get up off that seat somewhere around 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I was just sitting there, and all of it was just that. It's not even possible for me to truly talk about that.
But, and I wouldn't want you to, actually.
There's just like,
it'd be full of concepts. And
exactly. So what I am saying though is, when that dawned on me, because it was like I was rocketed back into actual here, actual amness, actual consciousness, actual awareness, actual just bang. And then all thought stopped. Apart from these 4 little 1-second episodes. The other one was I can remember seeing my hand stirring a cup of coffee. I can't remember how I fed myself. I don't know what I did. All I know is from the neighbours, because I was sitting out on the front veranda every day. When I eventually started to come out of that, and all that brought me out of that was thoughts started to run again, ever so slowly and ever so subtly. But now everything looked different. The world looked different. Everything seemed alive, And it was the neighbours that told me, as they're walking past my house every day with their dog, that I'd been sitting there every day, and they'd been saying hello, and I'd just been staring off into space somewhere. That was an absence, a complete absence of thought. It just collapsed, completely collapsed. You might want to call that the void.
And I just picked a word, but it's emptiness. I think Nisargadatta called it, black or something, darkness or whatever. I mean, but whatever it is, it's in it. The absence of thought would certainly be
that.
Yeah, I mean,
like there'd have to be the complete absence, absence, and then there'd be no thoughts there to even identify voidness or nothingness, or because there wouldn't be a thought. Just
right. What we can say, and you've said this a few times today already, is that the presence of thought would make that less apparent.
Yes, of course, because
that's all we really can say.
Yes. Yep.
And not to pick on anything you've said today, but like this idea.
Pick away. I could pick what I've said to pieces today. I could, if I wanted to. I could totally. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, but the notion, and I could see how this is a very helpful pointer for some, but the notion that we existed at 2 years old is bullshit.
True. Because we don't know.
We don't know. Well, there was no time.
That's right.
There's only now.
That's right. That's right. What I do in relation to that is at least try and get people to see.
Yeah. It's a point.
When the me seemingly came online.
Yeah.
Why can't we remember back any earlier than 2? There's no thoughts yet. Memory is contained of thoughts. Yeah. If we don't learn language, we can't have thoughts and a memory of it. So
yeah, like it makes sense from that perspective. But I mean, the reality is it didn't happen.
It's still a point. Yeah.
It didn't
happen. The reality is, as I was saying to James a moment ago, his whole backstory, his whole complete backstory that he believes is him, and has been a part of him and so on and so forth, it's got nothing to do with who's sitting here, right now, here. Nothing. The story is about the story, or it's story within story within story within story. It's just all thoughts. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. The I am, for me, if there is a concept that seems to get close to it, and of course it isn't it, but this concept that gets close to the I am is energy. Because it has a kind of a nebulous, non-specific characteristic. And if there is an activity that I undertake, it's to recognize there is only this energy, and to feel that. Like
my teacher, Sailor Bob, refers to that as an intelligence energy.
Yeah.
He uses that also can denote consciousness, source, God.
Right.
He refers to it as an intelligence energy.
Yeah.
Now, that void that we were talking about earlier, with the collapse of thoughts and so on and so forth, there's not even that. So it's prior to energy, because energy is a movement. Well, a seeming movement. In actuality, there's not even movement.
Yeah.
In actuality.
Yeah.
We go, your hand's moving, and no, it's not. It's just always now. But this says it's moving. Why? Well, because it was once there. Once where?
It's an apparent movement.
It's an apparent movement, exactly. Like it's an apparent universe.
Right. I heard one person say illusions are real in the sense that they're, if you're looking at a mirage in the desert, you're seeing something.
Seeing a mirage.
It's not what you think it is.
That's right.
It's the same.
That's exactly right. Like we see, I'm not saying that there's nothing there. What I am saying is what this thinks is there is not. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
And that's as far as you can go.
That's the limit. You can't go any further than that.
Right.
Then there's just, g'day. Really? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
thoughts still happen here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd be fucked without them.
Yeah.
Excuse my French, but I would.
Yeah. I mean,
I walk out the door every morning. I walk out my door every morning. I look across the road and go, oh, yeah, my car's still there. Couldn't get a more dualistic statement than that.
Right.
Me and my car's over there. Oh, and it's still there. You know?
Yeah. It's this, the apparent appearance of something.
Yeah. You know, have you heard of somebody that you, if you haven't heard of him, John, and you too, perhaps, James, Donald Hoffman? Have you heard of Donald Hoffman? Oh, Jesus.
Donald, you said? Donald Hoffman?
Yes.
Okay.
Donald Hoffman. How can I? Just give me 1 second. Here. Boom. And here. Give me 1 sec. I'll just quickly find it. Yeah. Donald Hoffman, and the title is Proof That Reality is an Illusion. It also goes on to say, the mystery beyond space-time. Yeah. And then know thyself. Okay. This guy is a neuropsychologist. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. And he sits there.
Almost like that field would take him in the opposite direction.
I know, right? I know. But he's also studied philosophy, and the group of people that he has, he's like the mouthpiece. And the group of people that he has around him are all physicists. Yeah? And so he's the mouthpiece for that group and what they've discovered about consciousness, about time, about space. So time and space are no longer fundamental. We cannot run with that any longer. We just can't. So they're exploring consciousness. And they've been doing that now for a fair while. It's a 2-hour-long video, but I think you'll love it.
Okay.
Yeah. So now we're getting a more scientific approach, if you like, to this.
Yeah.
To which they can space-time. So that's everything's out the window.
Yeah. And then that would take you to the edge, but then there's what's beyond that, which the science can never prove, describe.
Correct. It's brilliant. See if you can watch it yourself, James. Yeah, John. It's I only stumbled across it the other day, and I went, holy shit, and I sent it out to a whole lot of people. See, this, you've got to, you know, because he's saying stuff that I've been saying for ages. There's no such thing as time, space, free will, all that stuff. And now they're backing it up. And why? It's really the whys you'll find very interesting. He's saying the same thing I am, but differently. It's the same thing, though. Yeah, might be good for you too. I think you'll enjoy it, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Entertainment, whatever.
Yeah.
I got to go.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Terence.
Pleasure. Come back anytime you like. I'll be here.
All right.
Thanks, Terence.
Thanks, James. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.